Hello, good evening, everyone. My name is Sandra Esinamapeno, and welcome to Business Live. Coming up tonight, business operations in Muslim communities taking a hit as this year's Eid festival is suspended due to COVID-19. Chamber of Mines is asking government to remove certain taxes on diesel to stay competitive on the world market. And later tonight, we'll quantify the impact of COVID-19 on Ghana's banking sector. Details coming up shortly after this break. Welcome back to the program tonight, and we begin from the mining sector, where the Ghana Chamber of Mines says it's burdened with several taxes on the price of diesel, affecting their competitiveness in the global gold markets. Energy sector recovery levy and price stabilization levy are expected to be cut off out of the cost of diesel from mining companies since they pay upfront in dollar. Odilia Ntiamwa has been engaging CEO of the Chamber of Mines, Suleiman Koni.
More than 2 months since Ghana got its first coronavirus case, several companies in the global value chain have been affected either positively or negatively. The gold sector, though, has seen a substantive rise in price owing to its store of value, with the current price at $1,700 an ounce. The sector is struggling, however, to send goods to buyers. Now, companies will have to send gold on chartered flights at a high cost.
We have a situation where you don't have any commercial flights coming in. The airports have been shut. Most mining companies generally would use commercial flights to take their doré out there to LBMA certified refineries for refining. And unfortunately, we have a situation where, for good reason, the airports have been shut. So an alternative which the companies have actually engineered is to look at chartered flights. And I think that is working pretty well.
The sector for years has also been paying for fuel at high costs owing to certain taxes. Energy sector recovery levy and the price stability levy are but a few.
That certainly is around the pricing for diesel.
Yes.
And if you look at the pricing for diesel, it's so padded with lots of levies and taxes, and it makes us quite uncompetitive. We have member companies who have operations not just in Ghana, but they even have within the sub-region, and even in countries which are landlocked, where you expect the price of diesel for the earth-moving equipment to be much higher because of double handling and so on and so forth. Their prices tend to even be lower. So naturally, you would want to start asking questions and drilling down to find out why you have such a situation. And it boils down to the taxes and levies which are actually slapped on the price of diesel to the mines. Most of them should not be applicable to the mining industry. We continue to engage. In fact, was it last week or 2 weeks ago, we had to file a letter to the Ministry of Energy for consideration.
Still related to the sector, the CEO of the Chamber of Mines, Suleiman Koni, also wants government to review the 9% royalties which ends up in the various communities to 30%.
The whole policy of derivation, which is behind the plowback of the 9% of royalty to host communities, is why we believe that where minerals are actually won from, they should get a lot more, substantially more of the revenue coming from the mining sector. So we've had a situation over the years in this country where the plowbacks don't get to the communities. And even if they get there, sometimes 2 years late, sometimes 3 years late. And it goes in such an ad hoc fashion that the agents of development in the communities, i.e. the assemblies, the district assembly, the municipal assemblies, cannot plan with these revenues.
Ghana operates more than 16 large-scale mines with more than 900 small-scale miners.
Away from that, Chief Executive of the Petroleum Commission has allayed fears the coronavirus outbreak is going to derail oil and gas production in the country. According to Aboagye-Wiafe, none of the companies operating in Ghana's upstream sector has been hit with a case of the pandemic. He attributed this to the safety protocols being adhered to by these companies. He made this known as the Commission took delivery of some solar-powered hand-washing machines to reduce further spread of the disease.
Businesses around the world are reeling under the effects of COVID-19. While some companies have had to lay off its workers, others are cutting down on production output as a means of staying afloat. The petroleum sector is no exception, prompting fears among industry watchers that this may affect the petroleum sector and to a large extent its output. CEO of Ghana's Petroleum Commission, Aboagye-Wiafe, says measures are in place to ensure the sector is not affected.
So far, I'm able to report that the companies, you can mention the Talos, the ENIs, the Yensens, the Modex, they operate the FPSOs and what have you. No reports of COVID has come to us from there. And I think that it is because the companies have taken the issues very seriously and are following the protocols. They've gotten a lot of non-essential staff to come onshore. And so I think that the numbers, even offshore, have gone relatively low, just to ensure that COVID, does not first of all come offshore and then spread.
Is that affecting the output?
No, not in any way. For the companies that are producing oil, the reports that we have, the interactions we have with them, there's no effect on production. Production is on course.
The Commission took delivery of some solar-powered hand-washing machines to reduce further spread of the disease. He says they are putting measures in place to ensure the safety of its workers.
That, like every other institution in the Republic, COVID-19 has affected us. But I want to say that it hasn't stopped us from working. We followed the protocols, we followed the directives of the President and the Ministry of Health, Ghana Health Service, and other, related institutions and what they have to offer. And I must say that so far, so good. Petroleum Commission, we are rotating staff. We all kinds of, the Public Services Commission has also given certain directives which we are following. And so far, like I said, so good. There's no cause for alarm.
The solar-powered hand-washing machine with its motion sensors prevents its users from having direct contact with any of its parts. Here is a co-founder of Magnifico Solutions, manufacturers of the machine, explaining its components and how they function.
The SunSync is a solar-powered hand-washing system. It has a 250 megawatt solar panel on the roof. It has lithium batteries, 100 amps lithium batteries. It has a water pump that pumps water, 5 liters of water in a minute. The SunSync is a touchless wash-on system with a sensor tab, whereby when you reach out close to the sensor tab, the water automatically starts coming without touching the taps. Unlike the Victoria buckets, whereby you have to touch the bucket, open it and close it, pick up the tissue, and still wipe your hands. So there's too much contact with the Victoria buckets.
Aboagye-Wiafe further called on other entities to support made-in-Ghana products.
In other news tonight, business operators in Muslim communities have been badly hit by suspension of this year's Eid festival due to COVID-19. Dealers in clothing, cosmetic and other beauty products, as well as tailors and dressmakers, are recording virtually no sales in an otherwise windfall season. Nana Asenso Mensah visited some commercial hubs and service centers and has filed this report.
In this holy month of Ramadan, our Muslim brothers and sisters are having to pray at home instead of congregating at the mosque and foregoing the public celebration of the Eid.
So it's left with some few days for the holy month of Ramadan to end. That is for our Muslim brothers and sisters to end their fasting. On a normal day, businesses within the Muslim-dominated communities take their peak. But now the story is different. So we are here to speak with business owners and shop operators, especially those who sell Muslim clothing and cosmetics, how they are keeping their business afloat in the face of the COVID-19. Here at Asawase, almost all the shops sell Muslim clothes and accessories. Operators normally expect businesses to peak for high sales in the last 10 days of the holy Ramadan month of fasting. As adherents count down to the end of the annual spiritual exercise, patrons are expected to troop in to buy their needs for the celebration. The story, however, is different and one of gloom this year. Ibrahim Abubakar is owner of this shop. He sells wrappers and fabrics. He represents a number of businesses that are hard hit by the pandemic.
Last previous weeks, we've been trying, like they are buying one, you understand? But when was that? Is it Sunday? The moment the president announced that we can't do the distance, Salah, so the distance has stopped. Nobody is coming for it again. Yeah, so that's the main problem right now.
Just across the street is a fashion designer shop. It employs over 20 designers who sew for hundreds of clients. These empty seats here are supposed to be occupied by designers who have been asked to stay home because of the drastic dip in sales.
My name is Hadi. I'm a fashion designer. So, since morning, look, if it is last year, by now we are sleeping inside the store because of the job. But this year, look at our store. It's empty. Nobody even carry their goods, even children. Their parents will come. All this one that you are seeing that we are doing is for those who can afford. You understand me? If not, nobody came. So we are suffering.
Players in the value chain are suffering same fate. The situation here at one of the biggest boutiques in Asawase is no different. Hajia Ramatu complains she's had to shelve more than half of her stock as expectations to make big sales is now a mirage.
Last year and this year,
no, comparing to last year to this year, the business is not going on.
Among female youth, one hardly celebrates the Eid without plaiting their hair. These hairstylists have not received any clients since last Monday. A situation they say is a direct opposite of what happened in previous years.
My name is Aisha Adam. I am a hairstylist. This is the place I work. Those people who came here to come and plait their hair, they are not coming because of the sickness. We don't have, the customers refuse to come.
Uncertainties about when the COVID-19 pandemic will be over has really compounded the impact on commerce, trade, and social life. Every facet of businesses, especially those who operate within the Muslim-dominated areas, have really felt the pinch of the pandemic, especially in the face of the Ramadan amid the Eid festivities. My name is Nana Asansumensa, reporting for JoyNews.
Interesting report by Nana Asansumensa. And the banking sector is equally not spared by the coronavirus. Most financial institutions are said to be seriously struggling. The good news, however, is that banks that are exposed to the mining sector are benefiting from the pandemic due to the fact that many investors are now moving towards gold investment. The accounting auditing firm KPMG has been assessing the impact of the COVID-19 on Ghana's banking sector, and senior manager at KPMG Ghana, Robert Jato, joins me via Zoom. Thanks so much for your time this evening. All right, Robert, can we quantify the impact of COVID-19 on the banking sector?
Well, I think that it's early days yet. Of course, it's fair to say that whilst the general economy is being impacted, the banking sector will not be isolated. However, if we think about banking in terms of the number of digital means that a number of them have deployed, then we will expect that they'll continue to operate. If you refer to the Bank of Ghana sector report that was issued in March, you will see that banks are still in good business. Fortunately, during the period, they were not closed down, but it's also the case that we need to remember that whilst they operate in this economy, if you look at the forecast that we are seeing in terms of GDP growth for Ghana broadly, they will also be impacted in some shape and form. So clearly, we expect that banks will continue to do well. If you look at COVID, the impact will be felt, perhaps not from the capital point for banks, but more from the earning side of things.
Right. So the stock market has also been described as one that isn't efficient in the sense that it doesn't react to information. So shares stay flat, and some banking stocks have also declined in value in relation to COVID-19 impact. We will have to see more banks, or are we going to see more bank stocks tumble?
For us globally, if you look at what's happened in the stock markets, you will see more movements in the global markets than we've seen in Ghana. But clearly there has been some movement. We have looked at this from January to immediately before the announcement was made and then after the lockdown period. And we have seen some movement in some bank stocks. So we expected a bit more movement, but clearly we haven't seen a lot, except that some specific banks have seen some dips in their stock prices. But it's also the case that, remember, there may be a number of other factors other than just COVID. Banks are issuing their final reports or publish their financial year final reports. So that could also be feeding into the market in terms of the reactions that we've seen in prices.
Interesting. But banks with business exposure to certain sectors such as mining, which was indicated in your report, will make some gain, actually. Others with exposure to sectors badly hit, such as tourism, hospitality, education, may be badly affected, as we saw in that report that you put together. What should be their positioning here so that they are not badly impacted by COVID-19?
Well, I think that different players would suffer different consequences depending on which sector you choose to play in. If you think about the mining sector and maybe gold in particular, in crisis, people see gold as safe haven. And therefore, what we are saying is really not new. You will see that there's a shift towards that precious metal. And so perhaps banks that are exposed to that area may benefit. I'm using the word may benefit because there's also the risk of supply chain disruptions in those mining sectors, because they would also be impacted. So we may see movement in prices, but then also we need to bear in mind that the supply chain side of things need to be considered. In terms of what banks should do differently, in our view, it's important that banks take a step back and do some scenario planning. It's also important that they stress test their strategies at this material moment. And perhaps in a business where most people would want to do cost reduction, our advice would be to do it in a more sustainable way. So this is a time not to cut and just cut cost. You should be doing what we call sustainable value improvement and cost optimization. And I think that will be very critical going forward.
Right.
Even more critical is for banks to manage with their heart. And what I mean by that is they need to pay attention to employees and to their customers and be empathetic in terms of how they manage the safety of employees will be critical, safety of customers will be critical, and safety of the banks as well will be very essential at this time. Okay,
Robert, before I let go of you, some industry players have said that Bank of Ghana's measures have helped the sector. Should we expect more from the regulator? And when can we say that there is a sense of normalcy in the banking sector?
It's fair to say that the central bank has kind of done a lot of reforms, perhaps immediately or prior to the COVID hitting. So you find that sometime 2018, 2019.
Unfortunately, it looks like we've lost Robert. Robert Jato is a senior manager at KPMG, and we've been assessing the impact of COVID-19 on Ghana's banking sector. Away from the Tourism Minister, Barbara Otin-JC, has been emphasizing that drinking bars and clubs remain closed as the country tries to tackle the coronavirus pandemic. She was responding to an earlier statement from the Ghana Tourism Authority, which gave green light to drinking bars to operate alongside hotels and restaurants as the government considers options to reopen the country. Here is the minister addressing the press earlier today.
The Ghana Tourism Authority, per directives issued to the hospitality industry, inadvertently eased up the restrictions applicable to the industry by indicating that food chains and restaurants could operate sit-down services by observing social distancing protocols. It was also indicated that drinking bars could operate and also comply with social distancing protocols, but nightclubs would remain closed. However, we wish to clarify that further to the directive of His Excellency the President regarding the extension of the ban on public gatherings, the status quo remains the same, which means that drinking bars and nightclubs remain closed. They cannot operate. Food chains and restaurants, including restaurants in hotels, can operate takeout and delivery services. This means that you can go to the food chain like Papaya or KFC, order your food and carry it away and have a meal in your home. Or you could go to a restaurant, order a meal and carry it away. On the other hand, you could also take advantage where they have delivery services to place a phone call, order your meal, and it will be delivered to you at home and you can enjoy your meal. So this is a clarification that we want to bring to the public and to the industry, and we hope that they'll ensure compliance with these clarifications.
Now, the manager of the BESSFA Rural Bank at Garu in the Upper East region has said his bank will not lay off workers in the wake of the economic challenges brought about by the coronavirus pandemic. He said rather the bank hopes to create more employment for the people in the area as soon as things return to normalcy. Albert Soris reports.
The Boku East Small Scale Farmers Association, or BESFA Rural Bank, prides itself as the bank for the ordinary farmer and places agribusiness at the top of its business decisions. The bank has branches at Boko, Garu and Pusiga, all in the Upper East region, and 3 other branches in the Northeast region. In the wake of the current challenges in the world of business as a result of the coronavirus pandemic, things have generally become slow for the BESFA Rural Bank. But the management says it is not going to lay off any workers, as many businesses across the world have been forced to do in recent times. Alhaji Hayatuddin Awudu Ibrahim is the manager.
Things are difficult a bit, but I mean it hasn't gotten to, it did not crystallize a situation where we even contemplated laying off of staff. That is not something that we are considering, because yes, there has been business slowing down a bit, but not with a negative impact in our books that will necessitate any such difficult measures being taken. So for now, that is not even on the table at all. We rather actually hoping that very soon we will rather expand and ensure that we actually offer more employment to the most of the unemployed youth out there, rather than seeking to constrict what we already have.
He is hopeful that government stimulus package to support businesses and industries hit by the coronavirus pandemic in Ghana will make things a lot easier.
Because you have had your customers not able to move from one point to the other just to be able to transact their ordinary businesses. And so that got business at our level also slowed down a bit. But at least we are grateful that the stimulus packages announced by the government is also helping us to at least reduce some cost of our operations, which without it could have been a bit more difficult for us. But
as part of its corporate social responsibility, The Besfa Rural Bank has donated some items to healthcare facilities within its operational areas in the Upper East region to help in the fight against the spread of COVID-19. The items, worth 40,000 Ghana cedis, include Veronica buckets, hand sanitizers, disinfectants, and liquid soap. Receiving the donation, the District Chief Executive for Garu, Emmanuel Asore, said the items will augment those already provided by government and other organizations.
Over 40,000 Ghana cedi has been used to procure these items that we see for distribution to the 6 MMDAs in the Bokuzo. Indeed, this is a gesture that must be lauded. And so, on behalf of all the chief executives of the area, I want to thank the management and staff of the bank for joining up with us in the struggle against this very deadly virus. I want to assure the bank that these PPEs will go a long way to support us.
For JoyNews, Albert Sori, reporting from Garu.
And that will be all for the program this evening, but you can catch me live on JoyNews Prime, where we'll be talking about the advertising industry and the impact COVID-19 is having on that sector as well. My name is Sandra S. Sinamap, and you can log on to myjoyonline.com/business for more business news updates. Thanks so much for watching.